when my grandfather come over, he come from a heavy soil zone, and he come here because he was in English and he liked the trees and the creek. To be honest with you, it's probably really saved our farm, because we ended up homesteading here on the lighter land, and it made us diversify because they couldn't grow grain, and we had to go into the beef business.
I think it was probably about 14, 15, we got our first 30 cows. We got that from trainers over here by Delisle, and always interested in cows. And you know, Dad and Uncle Cliff decided one day to get some cows. We had some hayland down here that we wanted to utilize. Again, being diversified, we wanted to utilize that creek bottom and that whatnot. So we got our first 30 cows then, and then from then on, it was just a matter of growing the herd, I guess.
Sometimes people view cattle and ranching as more of a lifestyle. It still needs to be operated as a business. So, you know, I guess when I was younger, my grandfather instilled in my head, it's not about whether you grow a pound of beef or a bushel of grain. You're growing protein, right? And you're growing protein for human consumption. And whether you grow that on a pasture or whether you grow that on a field, you know, you need to still look at, you know, how you can grow the most pounds or, you know, the most energy for the consumer.
I think our real big advancement has been gone when we switched over to the Red Angus Simmental Cross cow. We chose to do that probably about 15 years ago. My brother and I sat down and talked about it, and I really think that was a huge change for us. We started buying half crosses, Red Angus Simmental Cross, and then we started breeding them back to Charolais bulls, which gives you your hybrid vigor. And your hybrid vigor is known as being your best producing animal in the feedlot. And I think by doing that, we've really seen the pounds of our calves shoot way up. And we've never looked back.
We chose to go back to growing silage on our lighter land. If we took some of those advancements in our grain production, where we could utilize minimum tillage, conservation tillage, go in, seed our barley crops early, you know, try and minimize some of the risk that we have in growing a forage, you know, get that crop started early and then take it off as silage, likely minimizes a little bit of risk.
That's our first crop going in, so and then take advantage of that moisture in the ground. You seed it early, then you chop it, say end of June, July, 1st of July, and then silage is just chop it at the 65% moisture, and then you let it sit in a pile, ferment over the summer or the winter, and then feed it in the spring. Once it's in a pit, it's good for 2 years, 3 years if it's wrapped properly. And so once it's in there, it's cooked. It's kind of like candy for them cows.
You know, one of the things I would use for, you know, that works well as old technology is horses. When Jeff and Ron and some of the folks that work with us, they like to handle the cattle with horses. I actually prefer when they handle the cattle with the horses myself, because it seems like it's just everybody's a little more not as on edge when they're moving cattle, when they're moving with horses versus vehicles or all-terrain vehicles.
Well, I rode horses all my life, but I was pretty big into hockey growing up, and then I really got into it, team roping and stuff, when I was 15, 16. We had so much bush in the south pasture. If you were to take a quad down there, well, say pulling bulls, for example, some of them bulls will just head straight for the bush, so you're not going to drive your quad through the bush or get off and walk when the bull's a little mad. So just take your horse in there and push them out, or dog, or yeah, it works good. There's no better way to go out and spend a day with cows on the back of a horse, checking cows and water and seeing wildlife, and it's kind of always been in the back of my head to keep it going through the family and teach my kids how to ride and rope, and it's way more fun to do that.
I mean, I'm quite impressed with our herd and really happy with it. You know, it's changed. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's really come around. But there's still work to do.